If you're thinking about buying a home in Ocean City and either you already own one here, or if you would be selling your current primary residence to move down here full time, make sure you pay close attention to this one and stick around to the end, because I'm going to cover exactly how you can buy and sell your homes at the same time in the way that is most beneficial for you. Hey there, Nick Deckard here. Welcome back to the channel if this isn't your first time, and if it is, welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell so you are the first to stay in the loop on everything happening here in the Ocean City real estate market, as I'll put out videos each and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. If you've been active in the real estate market the past 2 years, it can be a very stressful place to be. So I'm going to make this simple for you, and I'm going to break this down into 3 different parts of exactly how you can buy and sell at the same time in a way where you are protected and you are mitigating your risk. So step number 1 is to evaluate what type of market we are in. Now, as of the recording of this video, we are in a very, very strong seller's market, but we are going to cover how to operate in a seller's market and also how to operate in a buyer's market for when that eventually does come back around. So in a seller's market, you really have 2 paths. Number 1 is to buy before you sell and utilize what we call home sale contingency. Now, using a home sale contingency does come with risk, but the bigger thing is it is simply less desirable for a seller if they have multiple offers on the table, which tends to be the case in a strong seller's market. So oftentimes the better alternative is to sell before you buy and ask for what we call a rent back agreement. So in essence, you'd be selling your current home first with a particular closing date, and you would agree in advance to rent your own home back and stay in it for some period of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, whatever you can come to an agreement on. That gives you the time to go pursue the market, go in without that home sale contingency, and be able to forward a much more attractive offer so that you don't have to worry about getting blown out. Now, in a buyer's market, we also have 2 traditional paths. One of them is going to be the same as the one in the seller's market, where you go in with a home sale contingency. The difference, and it's important to make sure you understand this, in a buyer's market, you have the leverage. So coming in with a home sale contingency is not going to spook a seller. They're going to be happy to have a strong offer with somebody who's qualified and the intent to actually go through with the purchase. They're willing to extend that closing date a little bit to make sure you have the time to sell your home before you go ahead and close on theirs. If you want to make your offer a little bit more attractive, we will take path number 2, and that is simply requesting an extended closing date. It's fairly typical to have a 30, 45, or 60-day closing time frame if you're going to be financing the purchase of a home. So in this case, you might be looking for a 75 or a 90-day closing period so that you can get all your ducks in a row, you can get your home sold, but it's not necessarily contingent on getting your home sold. And it's important that you know the difference between what we're talking about here. Without that home sale contingency, you're obligated by the contract to go through with the purchase so long as you financially qualify to do so. With the home sale contingency, if you don't sell your home by the agreed upon date, that purchase contract, you buying that home, that contract is null and void and you get your deposit back. So path number 2 does come with a little bit more risk, but it may be more palatable to the seller. So it's important to understand both paths so you have 2 tools at your disposal. Step number 2 is to choose a highly experienced real estate agent. Now, that's an important part of every process, whether you're selling or whether you're buying. But if you're looking to do both at the same time, it's really important that you have somebody who's been through this, that's helped clients through this in the past. And more often than not, it's going to make a lot more sense for you to use that same agent for both transactions, so long as they are licensed within both areas where you are selling in and moving to. That helps streamline communication. It makes a lot of barriers that might otherwise pop up completely disappear because you have everybody closer together in better communication. And that's honestly where most deals fall apart, with lack of or poor communication. And a lot of people go with the very first agents that they talk to. That's who they choose to use. But it's important that you interview agents if you're considering going into this particular scenario, because there are so many pieces they need to be proficient at for you to be able to execute on this strategy effectively and successfully. That goes from not only helping you to find the right property to buy, but also the pricing strategy that you're going to take with listing your home, the negotiation strategies on both parts in making sure that the terms of both deals are going to allow for the whole thing to work. Otherwise, it may all fall apart without any warning. Now, step number 3, and this is the last step of the simple 3-step process, is to make sure you have a true understanding of your financials. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know exactly what my financial picture is. I know exactly what I can do, what I need from my sale, so on and so forth. But I have news for you. If you're not working through this process with a lender and possibly your financial planner too, you are highly likely to make a miscalculation or miss something entirely. So this goes beyond just what you're willing to spend and even what you're qualified and able to afford. This goes deeper than that. Depending on the mortgage products available that you may qualify for, it may help guide you, or honestly, it may narrow down so you only have one particular path. And if you don't have that information in your hands, you're going to be flying blind through this process, and it's going to become very frustrating very quickly. Now, with those 3 steps out of the way, there is one other path here that is going to be very difficult to execute on, but it's the holy grail when it comes to buying and selling a home at the same time. I have 3 words for you. Off-market listing. An off-market listing is where an owner wants to sell their property but is not listed out there actively on the open market. Now, this can happen one of 2 ways. This is either something that you become aware of, thanks to the real estate agent you're working with, before it hits the market actively. Or what's more common is there are owners and sellers out there who simply don't want to list their home on the market. Maybe they have privacy concerns. Maybe in our current climate, they have COVID concerns. They don't want to let a bunch of strangers into their house. So it's possible, I want to say possible, not probable, that you can find an off-market listing that will make all of the other problems completely null and void. If you're able to find this particular owner who wants to sell the home that you want to buy for a fair market price, that means no discount rack, clearance rack, lowballing kind of stuff. This means you're going to be paying fair market value, which, if that's happening now, that's actually better typically than what you're able to get on the open market, where you may have to overpay. By finding an off-market listing, number 1, you are the only buyer in the seller's mind. So they are going to be very attentive to what needs you have, what terms you need to meet, unless they have something that totally conflicts with your needs, in which case it simply doesn't come together. But number 2, since you are the only buyer in this seller's mind, they're often much more open to negotiating on timing, and that goes both ways, right? If this particular seller wants a longer closing, they need time to get all their belongings out, to move, we can be accommodating, which ultimately is a simple thing that can help you secure the deal. So that sounds pretty great, right? Well, if you're interested in learning more about off-market listings, or if you want me to keep an eye out for you, make sure you click the link down in the description, the very first one. It will take you to a Google form. If you fill out some basic pieces of information, I can keep an eye out, and when I find an off-market listing that may be a fit based on the criteria you provide, I can reach out and hopefully make a match, because it's a win-win-win for everybody involved. And that's it. Those are your ways to sell and buy at the same time. It can get complicated, so again, make sure you find a real estate agent that you trust. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You can contact me directly at 609-602-2847, or you can drop any questions you have down in the comments below, and I will get to them as soon as possible. I appreciate you spending some time with me today on this video, and I will see you on the next one.